Well, lambing time is here. I've got one ewe that has definitely started. She has passed a water bag. I'm going to give her about 30 minutes and we'll see how things progress from there. There are a couple of others that I'm watching real close, and I'm going to show you this just so you kind of get an idea of some things to watch for of what might be getting close to lambing and what isn't. If you notice, these ewes are all just laying here in the sun, enjoying a nice sunny day. Even though they're all very pregnant. If you watch, most of them are laying here chewing their cud, just minding their own business, doing well, like this ewe right here. See, she's chewing her cud. Her tail is kind of tucked in underneath her, which is a normal way that sheep lay down. But if you look at this one right here beside her, she's not chewing her cud. Her tail is back. She's breathing harder. I don't know if it shows up in the camera or not. She is definitely breathing harder than the others. And actually there's one over there that's having a lamb right now. Can you hear her? She is in labor right now. It might be a pretty big lamb, so we'll see. Well, that was a false alarm. That ewe is actually trying to prolapse. That was not a lamb coming out. That's a vaginal prolapse, and it causes them, puts pressure on them and causes them to start pushing. You can see, well, here, let me get the camera up here. Once she got up, everything was okay. So she's going to need some attention, and that she has probably just put herself on the call list. If you notice this ewe right here, she's the one that was laying down, not chewing her cud, panting just a little bit earlier. She's up. She's holding her tail out a little bit, but that's not really a real good sign. One thing you can notice on her, even though they're kind of hairy, right in front of her hips, up on top of her back sort of, it's a little bit of a dark spot, but it is, it's actually sunk in there a little bit. If you notice the ewe right in front of her, she's not sunk in that way, the one with the collar on. When they start sinking in like that, that's usually a sign they're getting pretty close. The lamb's getting into position to be born. It's kind of turned and down a little lower and getting ready to dive out of there. So that's just something else to kind of watch for. Okay, we have this ewe right here. She is a first-time ewe. She's a year old now. She is bred, due in 4 or 5 days. The problem she is having is with a vaginal prolapse. I apologize for shaking the camera. I'm just doing this with my phone right here. Any of these, mine that do have a prolapse, which is not very often at all, but it does happen from time to time. To me, that's reason to cull her. I will not keep this ewe. I will not sell her to anybody else wanting a ewe to raise lambs with. She would just go to market. But since she is bred and due pretty soon, she can have lambs and raise these lambs. So that will give me more to sell if I can get her to raise. She's probably just got a single, but that gives me 2 to sell instead of just her. Now, the way I take care of this, there's different ways. Some will actually sew that closed so it can't prolapse. Hers is not terrible. What you see is it's almost like usually like a softball sized tissue that comes out under her tail when they're laying down and relaxed. And a lot of times when they get up, it will go back in. Really bad ones just stay out. Hers has been going out and back in. I noticed it yesterday, but this is the first time I've had a chance to address it. And the way I do these, if she turn around, you can see how she's got a little dirty under her tail. That's from that prolapse coming out and getting her tail wet when she's laying down. And that is something to kind of look for when you see one that's all your flock is nice and clean under the tail, and you've got one that's pregnant and getting that. I would start watching them to see if they are prolapsing when they lay down. Now, what I do is I use this. This is actually a breeding harness for a ram. It goes around their neck, under their front legs. For a ram, this would go like down between his front legs, and these straps go over his neck, up over the back. But what I do with this is I put it on the ewe, and then I tie to that this. This is what I referred to as a prolapse spoon. What you do is take some string. I just use some baler twine and tie in these holes here, one on each side. The big spoon part in the middle, this big piece, you put this under her tail and lubricate it, and you can slide this right up into her vagina. Tie these sides to the breeding harness that's on her, and you need to pull it up in there pretty snug, pretty tight. That will keep that prolapse from coming back out. Now, what I like about these is when she does get ready to lamb, if I'm not around, this will just slip back and it will pop right out, and she can have her lamb just fine with this in there. It will pop out when the lamb comes out. Versus some stitches, which some people will do. You need to be there when they get ready to lamb to cut those stitches. They make prolapse harnesses that go on the ewe similar to the breeding harness, but it goes further back, and it just puts a web over the vagina so it can't come out. The problem I have with those is I think you're risking having troubles if you're not there when they have lambs, just like you do with the stitches. If they can't get that harness out of the way, and if it's on there right, they probably won't, the lamb can't get out. So with these, they're cheap. I get them from Premier One. I keep a couple of them on hand. I've had these for a few years. I only use them on the ewe. After I've used them on her, I'll get rid of this. But I just keep them sealed up in a plastic bag just in case I ever need one. I have one handy. Like I say, I've had these for a few years, have not needed them, but she's a pretty good candidate for it. So we're going to get this put on her, and you see how this goes. Now, as you can see, she's not a fan of that halter, but it makes it a lot easier for me. And what we'll do, we'll put this on her. This will still go between her front legs, just like I was doing a ram. This particular breeding harness, I've cut the straps off short so it fits these ewes a little better. I kind of keep this one just for this. And actually, this one isn't too bad from fitting her. Give her a little room here on the back. So this strap from the top here just comes, let's see if we can get this over here a little bit. The strap from the top of the piece where that crayon would go goes up across her neck, over her back, and fastens to the one from underneath. There's a strap underneath, then they come up and they connect up here. Then there's a little strap from here and a piece on the other side just like this that just goes straight over her back here. So that's how you would put a breeding harness on a ram. Now, but that's not what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is cut these strings off a little bit. Yeah, we just put these through here. I've got a loop tied on that end so I can pull this up tight. So for right now, I'm just going to pull it up all the way. Put another one on the other side. Get my lube here. Goes a little cool. Doesn't want to flow very good. I want plenty of that on there. Smeared on there good. She's not going to like this either. So this just goes right in her vagina under her tail. Just ease it in there. It slips in just that easy. Now I'll run this string through this loop. Whew, I cut my string short, didn't I? needs to be probably tighter than you think it does. Don't cut those too short though. Now if you give her a day and she's managed to pull this out, you know you didn't do it tight enough. And that's all there is to it. Let you go there, girl. She will be fine just like that. She can lamb with that in her, and that'll take care of that prolapse coming out.